You're to the point now where you're losing games you should probably win against pretty good programs.
Right. And you're right, and those are hard to swallow. I tell the kids, like, look, I can take a loss as long as I know we did everything that we were supposed to do and we played and we just got beat.
Yeah.
But when you lose games that you feel like you should have won, that you were the better football team, you just made some mistakes that the kids know better than to do that. Those are hard to swallow. But I look at where we were last year and where we're at now. I think our average margin of victory or defeat last year was probably about 50 points. If you average them out over the season, whereas now we're in the games late and we're not trying to fight and scratch our claw way back all the time. Right. We've got a chance to win them. And so that was one of the things I talked to the kids Friday night about the games. We got to learn what it takes to really be great and what it really takes to win. Yeah. Everybody wants to win, but where the teams that do and the teams that don't, it comes from the preparation that they put in Monday through Thursday. So we've got to be a better practice team. And so we kind of made a list of things that we weren't practicing very well on both sides of the ball. Like offensively, our tempo hasn't been what it needs to be. We haven't thrown the ball as effectively as we needed to. Defensively, we haven't pursued the ball as well as we needed to. And then we had some alignment issues. And those are all correctable problems.
Right.
And so that's the thing, that makes it easier where you can say, okay, we're making progress. And then the other part is, you had no spring. You had no summer. Right. Where you got to go against somebody else.
And it's still a transition program.
Correct. And you had no preseason. And we're still trying to figure out what's the best 11 kids that we can put on the field in the best positions for us to be successful on both sides of the ball. And unfortunately, we're at a point where a lot of our skill kids are having to play on both sides. And so we're trying to get some backup kids, coached up and a little bit further along so they can play. And I think one of the things we discussed Sunday was, rather than waiting to try to get some of those kids in the third and fourth quarter when we're already blowed, let's try to, take some shots with them in the second and, end of the first, early in the second, and try to get a couple series out of them in the first half so we don't just let the well run dry in the third and fourth quarter. So we had some kids last week that after the first game, they didn't really play much for us, but, it's like, look, we don't know that what we are asking you to do. I need you to step up more in practice, and they did that. Christian Brown and Ashton Brown, that was just two of them that come to mind. And Christian goes down there against Worth, and they're driving, and he intercepts the ball on the goal line for us. So that was a big play. A week ago, he wouldn't have made that play because he wasn't locked in mentally and understanding how he could make an impact if he would just.
Now that he knew he had to be relied on, he felt that pressure to do it.
Correct. And so, like all week in practice last week, he didn't say anything. He just was like a sponge trying to learn, and so he's kind of carried that mentality on this week too. So we're hoping that those two kids will come on and give us, some significant snaps on both sides of the ball and help us out on special teams too.
Jessie's off to quite the start.
Yeah, Jessie's off to a really, really good start. 240 in one game and 307 in another. The biggest thing I see is we've got to be able to do some things on the perimeter. And if we can do right now we're formationing people, and that's kind of what happened to Worth. We got in a formation against them and found a honey hole, and they couldn't adjust to it and couldn't stop it. But that's not always going to be the case.
Right.
You're going to run out of new ways to line up eventually at some point in time. So, we lost our kid that was a starting quarterback, not the first game week, but the week before that. So we kind of had to play catch up with a kid that was his backup. So, we'll get him back in another week, so we'll be interested to see how that kind of shakes out. They both have strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
So, it'll be interesting to see how that battle, works itself out. The good thing is at least now that it is an open competition, and competition breeds,
they both got their feet wet.
Correct. And so we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we're slowly figuring out, hey, these are the kids that we can count on, and these are some kids that can help in and play some roles for us to try to give some kids some breaks. Jessie's been off to a really good start.
And he's just a bowling ball, lumbering.
Jesse's gotten faster too. That's the thing you don't understand. He's probably gained, a step or two.
Really?
Which is the thing is last year he might hit and get to the second level, and then, he really wouldn't get a 50, 60 yard run. I mean, Jesse's popped 2 or 3 this year for 60, 70 yards.
So if he gets caught, it's not going to be a linebacker.
No, it's going to have to be a DB, and that DB you're going to have to have something about him too, because he ain't easy.
It ain't going to be one. It's not going to be one DB
bringing
bringing him down.
So he's he's gotten a step faster. So I think that's been why you're seeing the huge jump in his numbers with carries or with yards per carry, because used to it was 3, pop one for about 8, hit one for maybe 15, but now you're seeing him, he'll hit one for 5 or 6, and all of a sudden, boom,
he's got more explosiveness than he did last year.
And that comes from the weight room.
Yeah.
So.